My husband pointed at the front door and said, "Apologize to my mother right now, or get out." I was still holding the broken glass from the dinner table when his mother suddenly screamed from behind him, "Fine. Leave. But leave the Porsche." For a few seconds, nobody moved. Then I slowly put the glass on the counter. "Okay," I said. "I'll leave." What they didn't know was that the Porsche wasn't theirs to keep. My name is Rachel Carter. I was 32, and for almost 5 years, I had been married to a man named Ethan. Ethan was 35. He was charming around strangers, ambitious at work, and strangely different whenever his mother, Patricia, was around. Patricia was 61 and had a talent for making every room feel like her territory. She wasn't openly cruel. That would have been easier. Instead, she smiled while saying things that made you question yourself. "You look tired, Rachel. Marriage hasn't been kind to you, has it? Maybe you should let Ethan make the important decisions." I usually ignored her. Ethan always told me the same thing. "That's just Mom. Don't take everything personally." So I didn't. At least, I tried not to. Ethan and I both worked. I was a financial analyst for a construction company. Ethan managed sales for a luxury auto dealership. We had no children, but we had a comfortable life. 2 years into our marriage, Ethan surprised me with a Porsche. He handed me the keys on my 31st birthday. I stared at him. "Are you serious?" He laughed. "You've always wanted one." I hugged him. "I love you." He kissed my forehead. "Consider it yours." I believed him. But there was something I didn't know. The Porsche was registered under my name. I didn't care about that at the time. I cared that my husband had remembered something I wanted. For the next year, I drove it carefully. Then Patricia began making comments. "That's an expensive car for someone who works behind a desk." I smiled. "Ethan bought it for me." She raised an eyebrow. "Did he?" I didn't understand the question. Then one evening, Patricia came to dinner. She looked around our house and frowned. "Ethan, we need to talk about your spending." I looked at him. He looked uncomfortable. "What spending?" She pointed toward the Porsche outside. "That." Ethan sighed. "Mom, we've discussed this." "No, you discussed it." I didn't agree. I laughed quietly. Patricia turned toward me. "You think this is funny?" "No. I just don't understand why you get a vote." The room went silent. Ethan looked at me. "Rachel." I immediately knew what that tone meant. He wanted me to stop. I did. Dinner continued. But something had changed. A week later, Patricia started visiting without calling. She opened cabinets. Moved things. Criticized our furniture. Then one Saturday morning, I found her standing in my bedroom closet. "What are you doing?" She turned around. "I was looking for something." "In my closet?" She smiled. "You're very defensive." I didn't answer. That night, I told Ethan. "I need you to set boundaries with your mother." He looked exhausted. "Can we not do this again?" "Do what?" "Make everything about Mom." I stared at him. "She's the one coming into our house." He said nothing. Then he walked away. I should have realized then that this wasn't just about Patricia. Something else was happening. A few weeks later, Ethan asked me to sign several financial documents. "What's this?" "Routine paperwork." I read the first page. It was an authorization related to our household finances. "Why do I need to sign this?" "Because my accountant wants everything updated." I didn't sign. He became irritated. "Rachel, you're making this difficult." "I'm asking a question." He grabbed the papers. "Forget it." The next morning, I called our accountant. He told me there was no paperwork he had asked me to sign. My stomach dropped. I called Ethan. Why did you lie to me? He didn't answer immediately. Then he said, Mom thinks we should separate our assets. Why? Because she thinks you're too controlling. I laughed. Your mother thinks I'm controlling because I won't sign something I don't understand? He hung up. That was the first time I became truly afraid. Not of Patricia. Of my husband. Then everything changed. One evening, Ethan came home furious. Patricia was behind him. She walked straight into the kitchen. You owe me an apology. I looked at Ethan. What happened? Patricia pointed at me. You embarrassed me at the charity dinner. I remembered the dinner. Patricia had introduced me as Ethan's wife who handles his money. I had calmly corrected her. I actually manage my own finances. Patricia had gone quiet. Apparently, that was an insult. I didn't embarrass you, I said. You contradicted me. Because you lied. Ethan slammed his keys onto the counter. Enough. I stared at him. He pointed at me. Apologize to my mother. No. His face hardened. What did you say? I said no. He took a step closer. Then pack your things. I felt my heart break. You're choosing her over me? I'm choosing respect. I looked at Patricia. She smiled. Then she said the words that ended our marriage. If she's leaving, she can leave without the Porsche. I almost laughed. The Porsche? Patricia folded her arms. You heard me. Ethan nodded. Leave the keys. I looked at both of them. Then I smiled. Fine. I walked upstairs. I packed one suitcase. I came back downstairs. Patricia held out her hand. The keys. I placed them on the table. She smiled. Good girl. I walked out. But I didn't go far. I sat in my car and called my attorney. Because 3 weeks earlier, I had discovered something that changed everything. The Porsche wasn't simply registered to me. I had purchased it. Ethan had transferred the money into our joint account. I had used my own salary to repay the entire amount. The gift story had been a lie. And there was more. My attorney had discovered that Ethan had been moving money from our joint account into an account controlled by Patricia. Over 18 months, nearly $74,000 had disappeared. I had assumed it was family expenses. It wasn't. It was money Patricia had been saving. And the financial documents Ethan wanted me to sign? They would have transferred my interest in several shared assets. He wasn't asking me to update paperwork. He was trying to make sure I couldn't challenge what they were taking. I thought that was the worst part. I was wrong. The next morning, I received an email from the dealership. The Porsche's ownership documents were being reviewed because Ethan had attempted to trade the vehicle. Without my permission. The dealership refused. He had apparently told them I had agreed. I forwarded the email to my lawyer. Then I waited. 2 days later, Ethan called. Rachel, we need to talk. We already talked. Come home. No. Mom overreacted. No. He became quiet. You're really doing this? I looked at the divorce papers on my table. Yes. Then came the second twist. My lawyer had uncovered a clause in our prenuptial agreement. Any money transferred from my personal accounts into joint property remained traceable to me if I could document the source. I could. Every dollar. Every transfer. Every payment. Ethan had spent years believing our finances were too complicated for me to challenge. He was wrong. The Porsche was mine. A portion of our investment account was mine. And the money sent to Patricia was now part of the legal dispute. But I still didn't know why they were so desperate. Then my attorney found the answer. Ethan had serious gambling debts. Not thousands. Hundreds of thousands. Patricia had been helping him hide them. The Porsche wasn't about the car. They wanted to sell it to make another payment. The money they had taken from our accounts wasn't for Patricia's lifestyle. It was being used to keep Ethan's debts hidden from me. I sat in my lawyer's office listening to the details. For years, I had thought my marriage was struggling because of his mother. Now I understood. Patricia wasn't destroying my marriage by accident. She was protecting her son from the consequences of his choices. And Ethan had allowed her to do it. The divorce took several months. It wasn't dramatic. There were no screaming matches. No revenge schemes. Just documents. Bank statements. Emails. Receipts. Proof. The Porsche stayed with me. The joint assets were divided fairly. The money Patricia had received became part of the settlement. And Ethan was forced to face his debts himself. One afternoon, I went to collect the last of my belongings. Patricia was waiting. She looked tired. "You're happy now?" I looked at her. "No." She frowned. "Then why are you smiling?" "Because I'm free." She shook her head. "You ruined my son's life." I took a breath. "No. Your son ruined his own life." She looked away. Then she whispered. "He loves you." I almost felt sorry for her. Then he should have acted like it. I walked outside. The Porsche was parked in the driveway. I opened the door and sat behind the wheel. For a moment, I remembered the day Ethan gave me the keys. I had believed it was a symbol of love. Now I understood something. A gift isn't love if someone expects to use it as a weapon later. I started the engine. As I drove away, my phone buzzed. It was Ethan. One message. "I'm sorry." I stared at it for a long time. Then I deleted it. Not because I hated him. Because I finally understood that an apology doesn't rebuild trust by itself. Trust is built through choices. And when I needed Ethan to choose me, he chose control, secrecy, and fear. So I chose myself. That night, I parked the Porsche outside my new apartment. I sat on the hood and looked at the city lights. For the first time in years, there was no one telling me what I owed them. No one checking where I spent my money. No one demanding an apology for having a voice. I thought about Patricia screaming, "Leave the Porsche." And I smiled. Because she thought she was taking something from me. She didn't realize she was giving me the final reason to walk away. Sometimes the thing people fight hardest to control is the very thing that reveals who they really are. And sometimes leaving isn't losing. Sometimes leaving is the moment you finally get your life back.